Personally, I do think the world tour is just a big win for everybody, casual, hardcore. Because the last time we had a world tour mode in Street Fighter was Alpha 3. Alpha 3 with the console release had a world tour mode, and that was really fun. But this one obviously is just much more in depth because it's open world. It kind of reminds me of like a Yakuza game. It also even plays like a Yakuza game as well too. I only played the first 2 chapters and it seemed pretty easy, so I really do hope that like later in the game, like the NPCs get a lot harder. That would be really cool as well too, so it's not just kind of like spam your special move and just get through world tour mode and stuff like that. I do hope world tour mode like has more in depth, but I do believe this is an amazing like story mode, because Street Fighter 5 story mode wasn't the best. It wasn't great at all. It just was pretty whatever, lackluster for the most part. But I think the story mode for this one is going to be really amazing. I'm super excited for it, and I think a lot of people that are fans of Capcom also will be super excited about it. I would say I do believe modern controls will help shorten this path, because they kind of went through they kind of are going through the Smash Brothers route, where if like easy easy modern mode controls like special moves is like if you're playing Ryu, you press one button, throw a fireball. Forward special move to another for like Shoryuken, back special move for like Tatsumaki, down special for I believe Donkey Kick. So I think this is a great move for people that have trouble with doing like classic inputs like quarter circle forward or dragon punch motion, and for people that just want to just really mash buttons, you have dynamic controls, right? Dynamic mode controls for that. But I do believe modern mode controls is a great addition for another way to play the game, because like I think modern mode can be used by like casual players and even high level players. Like I played modern mode. I made a video on modern mode, and modern mode was really strong, and I could see like players that play modern mode controls also be top players in the fighting game community for Street Fighter 6. I would say tutorials mode in general is like something that a lot of like fighting game developers have a hard time with. I haven't personally tried out a tutorial mode in Street Fighter 6 yet, but it seems like from what people are saying, it's pretty useful. There are character guides, which is pretty huge, because a lot of times you don't really get character guides usually, right? You just kind of get like the in-game tutorials of like, okay, these are the mechanics of the games and stuff like that. But character guides for each character, which is pretty awesome. Like I said, I have not tried them yet, but they seem pretty in-depth according to just social media perspective. So it kind of teaches you the character personality, and they also even added combo trials, so you can kind of see like what combos your characters can actually do as well too. And also obviously the in-game tutorial system, which teaches you kind of like the drive gauge mechanics on like how to use them, like drive rush, drive impact, drive parry, stuff like that. So I really do think that they pushed really hard for a bunch of different type of tutorials for Street Fighter 6, and I think they did a pretty good job from what it seems like. So really big shout outs to Capcom for trying to bring that casual audience in. I guess like people will be like, oh, you're a modern control user, blah 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 blah, but that's just human nature in general. I feel like for every game that kind of has 2 different type of playstyles, which is a classic to a modern mode to an easy mode, people are going to have some type of judgment regardless, but ultimately in the end, like, you should just focus on your game, play your game, enjoy it. Like if you see that you're beating people with these modern mode controls, don't stop using it. Like literally, like really just don't stop using it. Just have fun, play at your own pace, play what you want to play, because sometimes the modern controls are just more fit to people like with that control scheme compared to classic control scheme. Like, you know, Street Fighter is a very old like game that's been out since the 90s, and they've been playing classic controls for like the whole entire lifespan. And I think with the modern controls, you're going to have a new breed of players that wasn't even born when playing when Street Fighter 1 and Street Fighter 2 came out. So it makes sense for them to really play with modern controls, right? Especially with like the whole Smash Brothers scene. Smash Brothers scene is just so huge, right? Such a big community. So if anything, this might entice some of them, you know, maybe like, let's say even like 10% of the Smash Bros community to play Street Fighter 6, and that's already a huge win. So like if you ever match up with me and you play modern remote controls, bro, bring your A game, because I mean, I already fought people that played modern remote controls and they have beaten me, and it's really cool to see, just because it's like a different type of play style, different way to look at the matchup. So ultimately in the end, just play what you want to play. Man, I actually think Street Fighter 6 is on a really good start when it comes down to being taken seriously as an esport, because one, the amount of marketing they have already done, like Street Fighter 6 was already advertised in like the WWE Royal Rumble. They got like amazing like kind of like color commentators in the game. Like they have Zelina Vega in it, and obviously they have some of your favorite FGC commentators like James Chen, Tasty Steve, Vicious. So the fact that they have so many like people working like from the FGC and also non-FGC, it's great. Like I also think, you know, there are probably going to be a lot of pushes from like big companies trying to like do a Street Fighter 6 promotion. So we might see a lot of stuff. Like the game is going to be huge, like viewership wise, going to be huge for Twitch, YouTube, whatever streaming platform, social media, Twitter, Instagram. I just see Street Fighter 6 just being so well received. They just announced like all these gamer reviews, and like I think the lowest score was like 9.5 or maybe 9, but there was so many like 10s, 5 out of 5s and everything, like a perfect score. And people are already saying this is the best fighting game that Capcom has already ever produced. So really everyone is so excited for Street Fighter 6. It's just such an amazing feeling, because they did such a, like, you know, like it was, Street Fighter 5 was poorly received for so long, and this is kind of like Capcom's like apology letter for like, sorry we made such a game that people did not like with Street Fighter 5. Here's Street Fighter 6. I really think you will love it, and I think that message was well received, and it's on its way to be an esports. And plus, there's a $2 million prize pool. Anything with a prize pool of like that amount, you have to call it the esport at this point. Man, you know, that I would say that is a based on person basis. It really depends on kind of how they learn as a player, how fast they learn. Some people are just slow learners, some people are fast learners. It really just takes time. Ultimately, in the end, I do recommend that even if you don't think you're ready to enter a tournament, enter an online tournament. It doesn't really hurt. I think Street Fighter 6 has an in-game tournament mode in general, where you just like match up people that want to play in a tournament and just have a kind of like a Capcom in-game online tournament type of thing. You could do that as well too. There's so many online tournaments that's going to happen in the FGC. Check them out, you know, like join those tournaments and just have fun with it, because ultimately in the end, like, I can't tell you how long it takes for you to be good. Like if I say 2 weeks and then you play for 2 weeks and you're like, man, I still suck, then you're gonna blame it on me. It's ultimately in the end, it really depends on you. But just playing a tournament, like people are going to be playing a Street Fighter 6 tournament the first day of the game launches, the following day probably. There's so many launch tournaments that's like already 1 day worth. You might as well just play, make some new friends in the process, because when you enter a tournament, you talk to new people, you can possibly make new friends, make new training partners as well too. So definitely, if you want to enter a tournament, even if you're good, you're godlike, you don't think you're good, you're like a beginner, enter anyway. Who cares? Just have fun with it. I do think Street Fighter 6 has like a mix of like so many Street Fighter games in one. Like it just feels like they took elements from Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, other fighting games as well too, and just used it to make Street Fighter 6. If you have experience playing other fighting games that's not Street Fighter related, don't worry. Like, to be honest, like when Capcom makes a fighting game, a new Street Fighter game, it's always different. They try to make sure that legacy skill does not really carry over as much compared to other fighting games that have been released, like King of Fighters and Tekken. Street Fighter 6 really wants to always have fresh looks, like in general, like fresh new looks, fresh new faces, fresh new gameplay. So if you are a person that likes to play Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball, Tekken, you know, Mortal Kombat, Smash Brothers, there's something for you in Street Fighter 6, you know, stuff like that. Like that's the most important part to take away from it. So don't be scared of legacy skill. Like obviously legacy skill will be a factor when you're trying to play like footsies and ground games and everything like that, but ultimately in the end there are characters that can really not play that legacy style, right? Kimberly is a perfect example. She's kind of like an anime character. So if you played anime games and you like to mix people up, Kimberly might be somebody in your zone, right? So it just really depends. Yeah, like I said, I thank you for agreeing that Street Fighter 5 ended up being a great game. It definitely have taken a few years for Street Fighter 5 to finally get to that point where people love watching Street Fighter 5. The competition was so high at Street Fighter 5 at the end that like it was just an amazing game to watch as a spectator. I do think Street Fighter 6 is going to come out really strong when it comes to just balancing. It just looks like every character looks amazing. Every character doesn't look like they lack of something. They look like they're are equally as explosive. Obviously in the end there are going to be tiers, there are going to be characters that are just going to be better than others. That's just how it is when it comes to a fighting game, no matter what. But ultimately in the end, I do think there are answers with whatever character you main, and how they can fight against other characters, because the drive mechanics actually helps balance that. It's like Third Strike, like Street Fighter 3 series, because parry is in the game. Parries can really help your characters that are considered low tier, mid tier, fight against top tiers. That's just how it always is. Because with the drive mechanics, drive impact, drive parry, drive rush, those mechanics in general will help you win those bad matchups no matter what, just because they're such a huge factor into the game, and you have to always think about it as well too. Like maybe if you didn't use any of the drive mechanics, just played Street Fighter 2 style with just like special moves and normals and supers and everything, then yeah, there's gonna be some pretty like possibly terrible matchups, right? But the drive mechanics are in the game, and they're designed in a way to help you kind of like take those bad matchups and then find a way to win those bad matchups. And I think for new players coming back, new players joining Street Fighter 6, like I said, it's a brand new game, fresh new look. Capcom loves when new faces come and play the game, because they don't really care about legacy skill, like I mentioned earlier. For older players, obviously, older players will come back, play their Ryu, Gaio, you know, like the classic Street Fighter 2 characters that they know from like since the beginning of time, and they're gonna have fun with it because these characters have been just like amplified so much, and they're just so much of a difference where you can just try new things in general. So I think it's you're gonna see a lot more new school versus old school type of matches when it comes to Street Fighter 6. Obviously tournaments have changed a lot because of the pandemic. Well, everyone was forced to playing online, and we lost a lot of offline events, which is pretty unfortunate. Based off the CPT schedule, it just seems like it's really going to be focused more on online versus offline. They did announce there's like offline premieres and everything like that, but I think they only mentioned like 3 or 4, so it's pretty low. So a lot of like grassroots tournaments that used to be CPT possibly will not be CPT anymore, unless they change it up with like points with like World Tour. It's still so vague how CPT is. I think they're still working on it or finalizing it. But as of right now, based off the current information that we have, CPT doesn't seem favorable to community tournaments. So ultimately in the end, you have to rely on online. I would say for people in Brazil that really showed off so much momentum with like Brolino, Kioma. They did such amazing jobs in Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. It would just be nice to obviously see more of the Brazilian talent, because Brazil is such an amazing fighting game country, like so amazing. And obviously when it comes to like South America, I always hear it's so hard for them to travel to like Evo or like another big tournament because of like visa issues, or like, you know, like lack of funding, or you know, they just might not have the bread, might not have the money because it's so expensive to travel from there. And it's really unfortunate, you know. Like I was able to fly out some people from just a bunch of South America countries, few Evos before the pandemic, with the E-Fight Pass with Sherry. And, you know, like, it was awesome to see how happy they were just like have a chance to compete at Evo, right? So I really do hope stuff like that happens again. I really do hope that more people in the South America scene in general just have more recognition, more attention to the name. I do hope that, you know, maybe CPT could possibly have a live event in each like country, like one in North America, Asia, Europe, Latin America. I think that would be awesome, pretty fair, I would say. But ultimately, in the end, it's just going to be kind of hard because everything's going to be online. So I would recommend for tournament organizers in Brazil, really like maybe focus online, because online is pretty good. I know in Street Fighter 5 it wasn't the best, but maybe Street Fighter 6 can be better for the South America region when it comes to online. You guys have to let me know if it is good or not. And then I would say for me, being in Brazil, it's tough, I would say, because I only went to Brazil once. I went to Brasilia for CPT event, and it was cool. It was really fun. But I think I'm at that age where I'm kind of old. I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I personally don't know if I would travel for an event as often as I used to, just because I'm older, I'm a family guy, you know, type of stuff. But ultimately, in the end, like, you guys will always have my support. I always love watching like tournament streams in general. And yeah, maybe if the online is good, we could possibly play from Canada to Brazil. Like on Fightcade, I played with a few Brazilians in Fightcade for older games, and it works pretty decent in general. So hopefully Street Fighter 6 can offer the same experience, and maybe we could play some games. But other than that, you know, this is Justin Wong. I hope you guys will love Street Fighter 6 and future fighting games coming out. And I hope I see you guys soon, and wish you the best. Other than that, peace.